Welcome to another video, guys. Today I'm gonna do something different and I'm gonna give you 5 of the best deck cards you could be using in Hearthstone right now for this type of meta. If you enjoy this type of video, do let me know in the comments and I might keep on doing stuff a little bit different from my usual Hearthstone deck guides and top 5 meta reports. So it would be awesome if you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And also don't forget you can check me out live on stream each Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. But now let's get into the video.
You are not prepared!
We are going to be using HS Replay Premium for this. I think it is still the best source of information for Hearthstone, been using it for over 9 years now. And I gotta say, it's just a great place to really get all of your information. I'm not just saying this because I'm sponsored, guys. Like, I literally somewhat became sponsored like half a year ago, was it? I don't even know. Like, I literally never started doing anything different. I just kept on using it anyway. You can see that from my top 5s at like 5 years ago. But yeah, the site really is worth it. And if you have $5 laying around, probably the best thing you could be spending for Hearthstone right now. Anyway, starting first, Steamcleaner actually is super popular right now, or at least it should be if you are facing way too many quest warriors. The reason why Steamcleaner is so good is because when Quest Warrior completes their quest and they play their quest reward, that shuffles 8 rewards from older quests back in the day, and if you manage to steam clean all of those, well, you basically eat up their win condition, because one of those cards they get shuffled is again an extra turn from the mage quest, which is kinda insane. So yeah, Steamcleaner, historically speaking, has been amazing for things like plagues back in the day against Plague Death Knights. It has done well against shuffling bombs in your deck, and so on and so forth. But now, right now, the main use case scenario would be to really make those control warriors cry. So if you're sick of losing to Quest Warrior, a single card literally makes a bad matchup into an unlosable matchup, kinda. Here we can see some of the decks that actually are utilizing this card, and I gotta say, it does fit perfectly into things like Death Knight. Apparently even some Quest Warriors use this thing, which is hella weird, not gonna lie, but technically speaking, this is still gonna be perfect in the mirror. Just don't forget you gotta wait for the opponent to actually shuffle their stuff first before you play yours. You steam clean and then you shuffle your different stuff, because this cleans both decks. As you can see, not that much win rate for decks like these. We gotta say something about tech cards. Like, if you just include tech cards in your deck, you're not gonna do too well. You're basically gonna try to be jack of all trades, master of none kind of deal. So be careful on the tech card action. Try not to be using more than 1 or 2 in a deck, especially if it's not a hard control deck like Death Knight, let's say. You can definitely check out my video about the super techie Triple Blood Death Knight, was it? I did a video about not too long ago. But now let's move down to the next card. The stocks for Demolition Renovator definitely have gone up lately, because we all know how many super impactful locations there are in the game right now, and the fact that this card also has tradable on it is super good. With Elise being basically in almost every deck in the game right now, having yourself a trusty Demolition Renovator definitely doesn't feel bad, especially since you could just keep on using it as card draw if you just don't see a good location option for it. So yeah, right now this is a very, very effective card you could be using, and it literally could even prevent things like OTKs against some decks like druids, like mages, that kind of stuff, because with Protoss Mage being able to stack all of their locations over and over again, with druids being able to summon an extra big minion, or just an extra copy of an Aulonius or something, and yeah, in general, just Elise cards could be very, very powerful this way, so having one of these definitely wouldn't hurt if you are sick of losing to location decks. In terms of decks that are using this card, honestly, everybody and their grandmother could be fitting it into their deck, like even mid-range shamans apparently, Death Knights, Warriors, you name it, they include it. It is a very versatile card, so if you have one of those, maybe you're missing some fancy legendary, you could just slap yourself one of these bad boys and that is gonna help you in a lot of cases. Historically speaking, Dirty Rat has been one of the best hand disruption tools for quite a while now, and in today's day and age, it's not as top tier as it used to be, but it definitely still could shine here and there, especially if timed correctly. Dirty Rat nowadays could be used against things like quest rewards, could be used against Rafams especially, even though that deck is not exactly super top tier. It could work decently well against mages with the Protoss Colossus action, and heck, even against mid-range shaman, because a lot of the times their minions do have some nice battle cries. And if you manage to pull something like a Hagatha, something like a Shutterblock, heck, even a Bumbling Bellhop, just a single copy of him, Dirty Rat definitely could have his stocks rising. Again, this is a decently versatile card and you could be including it in all sorts of decks. Apparently even mid-range Shaman has been abusing it here and there, but things like Quest Warrior definitely love it, Death Knights can also include it, and so on and so forth. And the thing about this guy is when you do play it, you gotta be prepared to actually delete the thing you actually pull out of it, because if you do something like a turn 1 or turn 2 Dirty Rat into a frickin' 10-10 Ceaseless Expanse, well, you're probably not gonna be super happy about that now, would ya? So be careful how soon and against who you're doing this, have a good read on their hand and what they probably mulliganed, and you should be right as rain. An interesting trick you could be using when deciding to play a super early Dirty Rat would be if you see that the opponent actually held on to all of his cards from Deck Tracker. If they all have zeros on them, this means that he kept a very early game hand that he wants to be playing early, so a Dirty Rat could definitely disrupt something very nasty that the opponent could be cooking. Up next, we're moving to a little bit more class-specific stuff with Hex, which is one of the few ways to actually polymorph things in Hearthstone right now, in Standard at least. And Hex definitely is very powerful nowadays, especially with decks like One Samdi Death Knight and whatnot. A card like this could completely annihilate some kind of strategy like that for Death Knights. It's also pretty amazing against things like Ravenous Demon Hunter, because if you do actually hex their Blobs of Tar or their Ravenous Fell Hunters, well, they're not going to be getting a lot of value out of those cards. Hex definitely has been quite popular in a lot of mid-range shamans lately. It actually was the go-to card for the Perfect 30 not too long ago. Right now I think it kind of fell off, but as you see, it's still super popular and it still has plenty of versions of decks with 60% plus win rate, with 2 or even just 1 Hex included. So yeah, definitely not a bad card and something to really think about. Like for instance, in the mirror, if you do leave yourself a Mirrodin on the board, a Hex would actually eat up the weapon, which is kind of huge. Like I said, hexing One Samdi is also absolutely disgusting, and so on and so forth. And speaking of other class-specific cards, here it's not exactly a tech card, but it kinda actually is, guys. Broxigar right now actually is super powerful, not because he's a 2-mana 12/12, imagine saying that by the way. I mean, he is a 2-mana 12/12, but technically I have never seen a Broxigar ever getting played on the board both for me or for the opponent, and I've played a lot with and against this deck, so that says a lot. But the fact that Broxigar does actually give portals for the opponents is super huge right now, and it's actually quite meta-breaking. You are gonna see a lot of Ravenous Demon Hunters with Broxigar included, not because they're planning on ever playing a 2-mana 12/12 charge, but because they want to be giving the opponent 1/1 Death Rattle minions, 2/1, 3/1, 4/1, and those Death Rattle minions go into the opponent's rest pool, guys. What does this do? It completely messes up their Ravenous Fell Hunters, because now there's not only a Blob of Tar in there, but also frickin' Fell Hunters. Same can be said for Umbra, by the way. She's also gonna be eating up those Death Rattles as if you want those. And it's also gonna be messing up rest pools like Resuscitate and so on and so forth. So it's a really disgusting card. Not only does it mess up the opponent's rest pool, but it also gives you a bunch of card draw, and technically speaking, 1 times out of 100 you might even actually get to play a 2-mana 12/12 charge, so that can be pretty good. But yeah, this is one of the more niche situations where we're talking about a tech card, but technically Broxigar is just that, a tech card right now. And last but not least, we cannot have a tech card list if we don't include good old Silence in it. Royal Librarian right now definitely isn't as popular as it used to be, but it's still seeing a little bit of play here and there, and it could be very helpful, and it was super huge back in the Dummy Warrior days. Royal Librarian now does have tradable on it, so it's actually not as bad even when you don't actually need the silence, but a lot of the times you're still gonna be happy using that on all sorts of different things, including some random nonsense. So yeah, silence never is really that bad to have at your disposal, and this guy is a pretty flexible card to be doing it with. We can see what kind of decks are actually using silence right now when we have things like Aggro Demon Hunter, because if you actually plop something like the 130 Taunt minion for Warrior, you're gonna have a very bad time as Aggro Demon Hunter, of course unless you have your Cane. Death Knights could be including it with ease because it's a flexible deck with a lot of control tools, even though this one does look kind of weird. What the hell is this, guys? Yeah, I don't even know what kind of deck this is, but apparently it's somewhat working. But this time frame is a little bit longer, right after the nerfs came out basically. Dragon Warriors could be including it apparently. Elemental Shamans can also handle taunts this way. Dragon Warriors and so on and so forth. Plenty of classes could be using silence in their decks. Mostly aggro decks would be happy because they don't want to have to waste time with taunts, but also as you see, some control decks can also utilize it. And speaking of silence, we do have a few other iterations of silence right now in the game with things like the priest cease to exist, so be careful leaving things that you don't want getting silenced by the opponent. I'm talking about let's say Mirrodin for Mirrodin Shaman. If he does have the weapon inside him, this thing silencing would actually delete the weapon from the game, so that could be nasty. But as you see, priests are not really having a very good time for the archetypes that do include this card, but if you do face that odd control priest out there, be expecting a cease to exist. Also, if you see them having the Imbue hero power, they could discover it, and so on and so forth. Medivh also does have silence like that. He does have silence and destroy right now, so that can be pretty nasty. So again, don't float minions you don't want getting silence like that. And we can also mention repackage here for reasons, I don't know. This one I just included just because we were on the priest bandwagon already. But yeah, repackage can also be nasty because this thing does not kill the minions from the board, but it does remove them. And also it kind of silences things like Muradin Shaman, because if you reshuffle Muradin with the weapon inside him, well, he's not gonna have another weapon inside him once he comes out of that repackage. So yeah guys, that's about it for deck cards in the current meta. Do let me know if I missed something important out in the comments, and do let me know what your favorite deck card is right now, and we can discuss. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, a like and subscribe would be great, and don't forget to check me out live on stream each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Thanks for watching, I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.